Amara Ndlovu was only 24 years old, but she already knew what it felt like to struggle. She lived in a small rented room in Quelimane, Mozambique, where the sound of the ocean mixed with the noise of old buses and street sellers every morning. By day, she worked as a small craft designer, carving wood, polishing boxes, and selling handmade items online. Some days she earned enough. Some days she barely earned anything. Still, she never complained. Creating things with her hands was the only thing that made her feel alive. When her older sister Zanil announced her engagement, the whole family became excited. Zanil was the favorite. She had a good job, rich friends, and big dreams. Everyone talked about her party in Maputo like it would be a royal event. Amara wanted to give her something special. She didn't have money for gold jewelry or designer bags, so she decided to make something with her heart. For weeks, Amara worked late into the night. She saved every coin and bought rare coastal wood from a fisherman's cousin. She carefully carved a small jewelry box, smooth and shiny, with tiny flower patterns on the lid. When she finished, she wrapped it in soft cloth and smiled. "She will love this," Amara whispered to herself. On the day of the party, the house in Maputo was full of music, laughter, and expensive clothes. When it was time for gifts, Amara stepped forward nervously and handed her box to Zanil. Zanil opened it slowly. Her smile disappeared. "Is this all you could afford?" she laughed. Other relatives joined in. "So cheap," one aunt said. "How embarrassing," another whispered. Amara's face burned. Her mother, Lindau, pulled her aside and said quietly, "Hide this before people see it. You're ruining the mood." Amara held the box tightly, trying not to cry, wondering when her love had become something to laugh at. Amara walked out of the crowded party hall and sat quietly on the steps outside. Music was still playing inside. People were laughing. Glasses were clinking. But for her, everything felt silent. She placed the small wooden box on her lap and stared at it with tired eyes. Her hands were shaking, not from anger, but from hurt. She slowly remembered everything she had done to make that gift. 2 months ago, when she first heard about Zanil's engagement, she knew she couldn't buy anything expensive. Her old phone was cracked, slow, and barely working, but it was still her only connection to clients. One evening, she walked into a small repair shop and sold it. The man looked surprised. "This is your phone. Are you sure?" he asked. She nodded. "I need money for something important." After that, life became harder. Without a phone, she missed orders. Some days, she ate only bread and tea. Other days, nothing at all. When her stomach growled at night, she would touch the wood she had bought and whisper, "It will be worth it." She worked by candlelight when electricity went out. Her fingers got cuts and blisters. Still, she never stopped. What no one knew was that the box carried a secret. Inside the lid, hidden under a thin layer of polish, was a small engraving. It was her late father's handwriting. Years ago, before he passed away, he had written a blessing in an old notebook. "May love protect you. May peace follow you. May your home be full of light." Amara had copied every curve of his letters and carved them carefully inside the box. It was meant to be a gift from both her and their father, something money could never buy. But no one opened it properly. No one looked inside. No one cared. From inside the hall, Amara could still hear laughter. Her cousin Naledi stood near the door, watching everything. She had seen how Zanil mocked the gift. She had heard the aunties calling it cheap. Quietly, she took out her phone and started recording. She filmed Amara standing alone. She filmed the family laughing. She filmed her mother's harsh words. That same night, Naledi uploaded the video online with a simple caption. "Sometimes the poorest gift has the richest heart." By morning, thousands of strangers had seen what Amara's own family refused to see. That night, after leaving the party, Amara returned to her small room in Quelimane. She lay on her thin mattress, staring at the cracked ceiling, unable to sleep. Her mind kept replaying the laughter, the whispers, the shame. She hugged her pillow tightly, trying to calm herself. Slowly, her thoughts traveled back to a time her family didn't know about. For years ago, when Amara was still in college, she had started doing freelance design work on. She made logos, handmade product photos, and small brand designs for foreign clients. The pay was not big, but it was steady. While her friends spent money on clothes and outings, Amara saved almost everything. One evening, she saw a small post in a local business group. "Beach property shares available in Vilanculo. Low investment." She clicked on it out of curiosity. A week later, she took a long bus ride to Vilanculo, carrying a small bag and big dream. The beach was beautiful. White sand, blue water, quiet air. When she stood there, she felt peace for the first time in years. The agent explained that several people were buying small shares together. It was risky but promising. Amara listened carefully. That night, she called her father. "Baba," she said softly, "do you think I'm being foolish?" Her father laughed gently. "My daughter, artists see opportunities others don't. If you believe in it, try." With his encouragement, she invested almost all her savings. She signed papers with shaking hands, afraid and excited at the same time. For 2 years, she kept working harder than ever. Sometimes she slept only 4 hours. Sometimes she cried from exhaustion. But slowly, the property value grew. Some investors sold their shares. Amara bought more whenever she could. Then tragedy came. Her father passed away suddenly. Before his death, he had quietly transferred his small investments to her name. One of them was the remaining major share of that same beach property. Overnight, Amara became the full owner. But she never told anyone. Her family always mocked her work. Crafts are for poor people, her uncle once said. Designers never become rich, her aunt laughed. They called her the struggling artist. So Amara stayed silent. She kept living simply. She kept taking buses. She kept wearing old clothes. And while her family looked down on her, she quietly owned a beautiful beach house by the ocean, waiting for the right time to let the truth shine. A few days after the engagement party, Amara was sitting in a small cafe in Quelimane, using her friend's phone to check messages and reply to clients. She was slowly rebuilding her work after selling her own phone. As she scrolled through social media, one post suddenly made her freeze. It was Zanil. Her sister had posted a shiny photo with her fiancé, Tabo, standing near the ocean. Behind them was the white beach house in Vilanculo, the same house Amara secretly owned. The caption read, "Dream wedding loading. Ring sparkles Vilanculo beach house. Luxury. Love. Forever." Amara's heart skipped. She refreshed the page. More posts appeared. Her mother shared it. Her aunt reposted it. Her cousins commented with fire emojis and hearts. Rich family vibes. Our princess deserves this. Best wedding of the year. Amara stared at the screen, confused and shocked. How are they there? She whispered. Later that evening, she joined a family video call. Everyone was excited, talking loudly, interrupting each other. We have found the perfect place, her mother, Linda, announced proudly. A beautiful beach house in Vilanculo. Very expensive. Very classy. Zanil smiled proudly. My friend helped us get it. It belongs to one of our uncles who lives abroad. He said we can use it for cheap. Amara felt her stomach twist. Uncle abroad? There was no such uncle. That house was hers. Her hands became cold. They were planning their wedding on her property. Without asking, without telling her, without knowing, her aunt laughed and said, "Finally, our family will show people we are not poor." Another cousin added, "People will respect us now." Amara stayed quiet. She wanted to speak. She wanted to say, "That house is mine." But her voice got stuck in her throat. She remembered all the times they had mocked her work. All the times they called her useless. All the times they said artists never succeed. Would they even believe her? More posts kept coming. Zanil posted pictures of decorations. Tabo shared drone shots of the beach. Wedding planners tagged the location. Exclusive venue. Private property. Luxury destination. Amara watched everything like it was a bad dream. They were building their big dreams on something she had worked for in silence. And they didn't even know whose ground they were standing on. That night, Amara lay awake, staring at the ceiling, whispering to herself. So this is how it feels, when your own family lives on your hard work and calls you nothing. One afternoon, Amara traveled to Maputo to help her family prepare for the wedding. Even after everything that had happened, she still wanted to support her sister. She packed her small bag, took a long bus ride, and arrived tired but hopeful. In her heart, she believed that maybe things would change. Maybe her family would finally see her value. When she entered the house, everyone was busy. Boxes were everywhere. Dresses were hanging on doors. Phones were ringing nonstop. No one really noticed her. "Amara, put those flowers in the kitchen," her mother said without even looking at her. "Yes, Mama," she replied softly. She worked quietly all day. She cleaned. She arranged decorations. She carried heavy bags. Her back hurt, but she didn't complain. She just wanted to be useful. In the evening, she went to her room to rest. On her way, she stopped near the living room when she heard her name. She froze. Inside, her mother, Zanil, Tabo, and 2 aunties were sitting together, talking seriously. Linda sighed and said, "After this wedding, Amara must leave this house." Zanil nodded. "Yes, Mama. She is too old to still depend on us." One aunt added, "She brings no money, no status, only shame." Amara's heart started beating fast. Her mother continued, "She is good for nothing, still playing with wood and colors like a child." They all laughed. Amara felt like the floor was breaking under her feet. Then Tabo spoke. "I agree," he said calmly. "She is a liability. Zanil and I are starting a new life. We can't carry dead weight." Dead weight. Those words cut deeper than any knife. Zanil added, "Once the wedding is over, we'll tell her to go back to Quelimane. Or anywhere. Just not here." They kept talking, making plans about her life as if she wasn't even human. Amara stood there, silent, holding her breath so they wouldn't hear her cry. Her eyes filled with tears. She remembered staying up late to make gifts. She remembered skipping meals. She remembered selling her phone. She remembered loving them more than herself. And this was what she got. She slowly walked back to her room and closed the door quietly. She sat on the bed and stared at her hands. "So, I'm a burden now," she whispered. That night, Amara didn't sleep. For the first time, she understood something painful. Her family didn't just underestimate her. They had already decided to erase her. Amara couldn't stop thinking about the wedding plans taking place on her beach house. Every post she saw online made her blood boil. Her family bragged about the property, unaware it was hers. And after overhearing her mother and sister call her useless and plan to kick her out, something inside her snapped. Enough was enough. She wouldn't let them trample over her life anymore. The next morning, she packed a small bag and took the long bus ride to Beira. Her heart raced with nervous excitement. She had never done anything this bold before, but she had to take control. She needed a plan that would change everything. In Beira, she met with a real estate agent, a sharp, well-dressed woman named Ms. Tavares. Amara kept her voice calm, hiding the anger and fear that boiled inside her. "I want to list a property," she said quietly, "but I need discretion. My family, they don't know I own it." Ms. Tavares raised an eyebrow. "I understand. Some properties are sensitive. Tell me about it." Amara handed over the documents, papers she had kept hidden for years. The agent studied them carefully. "This is impressive. A prime beach house in Vilanculo. Your timing is perfect. Interest is high." Amara felt her pulse quicken. "How much do you think it could sell for?" Ms. Tavares smiled. "At least double what people are paying for similar property. With the right buyer, it could be more." Amara took a deep breath. "Then let's do it." Over the next 2 weeks, everything happened quietly. She met with the buyers, negotiated terms, and signed contracts. The luxury resort company that had been eyeing Vilanculo properties offered double the price. They were serious, professional, and eager. Amara didn't flinch. She didn't waver. On the last day, she held the signed papers in her hands, her heart pounding with triumph. The house that her family had assumed was an uncle's abroad officially belonged to someone else now, someone who had the right to decide its future. She smiled to herself, a mix of relief and quiet satisfaction. The wedding was still 2 weeks away, and her family had no idea what was coming. For the first time in years, Amara felt powerful. She had taken control of her life, her property, and her destiny. And soon, the people who laughed at her would learn exactly what it meant to underestimate her. 1 week before the wedding, Zanil and her family were buzzing with excitement. Decorations were planned. Dresses were pressed. Caterers had confirmed menus. Guests had bought plane tickets. They thought everything was perfect, but Amara's quiet plan was about to change everything. It started with a simple email. Zanil's fiancé, Tabo, opened it first. His eyes widened. "Mama, the house, someone is saying we can't use it?" he stammered. Linda snatched the phone. Her hands shook as she read. Her face went pale. The email was official. The new owners of the Vilanculo beach house had taken possession. The property was no longer available for the wedding. The contract Amara had signed was final. Panic spread quickly. Zanil screamed, "This can't be happening. We already booked everything." Caterers called one after the other, some apologizing, some furious. "We can't deliver. The venue is off limits," one said. Floral designers canceled. The photographer pulled out. Even the luxury rentals for tables and chairs were gone. Then came social media. Guests and friends had already been sharing videos and pictures of the house. Within hours, comments exploded. People mocked the family for assuming a property they didn't own. "Rich girl problems?" one wrote. "When your wedding dreams are someone else's property," another joked. Screenshots of past posts went viral. Every brag, every hashtag, every proud comment came back to haunt them. Inside the house, the family was in chaos. Linda yelled, "We can't believe this. Who would do this to us?" Zanil cried, pacing. "Everything was perfect. We planned everything. How could this happen?" Tabo ran his hands through his hair. "We can't even use the house. All our deposits gone. This is a disaster." But no one knew that the person behind it all was the same sister they had mocked, belittled, and called useless. Amara stayed in her room in Quelimane, quietly watching from afar, her heart steady. She didn't laugh. She didn't celebrate, yet. She only felt the deep satisfaction of justice. Her family, who had laughed at her handmade gift, who had called her a liability, were now scrambling to save their image. Their big wedding plans, built on someone else's work and money, had collapsed in front of everyone. And soon, the truth about Amara would make it even worse. For the first time, they realized, underestimating her had been their biggest mistake. The next day, Amara arrived at her family's home in Maputo. She was calm, collected, and carrying a thin folder under her arm. Inside were the documents that would change everything. Her family was still in chaos from the canceled wedding. Zanil sat on the sofa, clutching her phone, tears running down her cheeks. Linda paced the room, muttering angrily. Tabo rubbed his temples, clearly frustrated. Amara stepped inside quietly. "Can we have a family meeting?" she said. Her voice was steady, soft, but full of authority. Everyone turned to look at her. Some eyes narrowed, some widened. Lindau scowled. "What now, Amara?" she snapped. "We've already had enough disasters." Amara ignored the jab. She walked to the center of the room and placed the folder on the table. "This is about the beach house in Valanculo," she said. Her tone was calm, almost serene. "The one you thought belonged to an uncle abroad." The room went silent. Zanil blinked rapidly, as if not understanding. "What do you mean?" she asked. Amara opened the folder and spread the documents in front of everyone. The papers showed her name clearly: full ownership, signatures, official stamps, legal contracts. She looked at each of them in turn. "I am the owner. Every share, every piece belongs to me, and I made the decision to sell it." For a moment, no one spoke. Lindau's hand flew to her mouth. Tabo leaned back, stunned. Zanil buried her face in her hands and began to sob. Then Amara clicked her phone. Videos began playing on the large screen in the living room. Clips of the engagement party surfaced. Her family laughing at her handmade jewelry box, mocking her gift, calling it cheap and embarrassing. Comments from relatives were clear and cruel. Her mother's face turned pale. "Amara, please, we didn't know," Lindau whispered, her voice breaking. "No one asked," Amara said softly. "No one noticed the effort, the love, or the work behind it. Yet you assumed you could use my property, laugh at my gifts, and call me useless. This is the consequence of underestimating." Zanil finally looked up, her face streaked with tears. I didn't know. I'm so sorry," she choked out. But the damage was done. Social media had already amplified the story, and now, in the living room, her family saw the truth they had tried to ignore. Amara had been the one holding power all along. The quiet, belittled sister they had mocked had outsmarted them entirely. Amara closed the folder gently. "I trusted you with my silence for years," she said. "Next time, don't mistake quiet for weakness." And in that moment, the room was no longer hers. They realized she had always been in control. After the wedding disaster and the public revelation, Amara felt a sense of freedom she hadn't experienced in years. No longer weighed down by her family's ridicule, she finally had the chance to build her life on her own terms. The money from selling the Valanculo beach house was more than she had ever imagined, and she knew exactly what she wanted to do with it. She had always loved design, not just small crafts, but clothes, accessories, and pieces that made people feel confident and powerful. Inspired by the ocean, the sun, and the African coastlines she had always admired, Amara launched her own fashion brand, Coastal Crown Africa. She poured her heart into every design, drawing from her childhood memories, her struggles, and the beauty of Mozambique and Ghana. The first collection was bold. Bright colors, intricate patterns, and luxurious textures. She sent samples to friends, small boutiques, and even a few celebrities she had met online through her design. Slowly, the brand started gaining attention. Celebrities began wearing her pieces at red carpet events. Influencers posted photos with hashtags like #CoastalCrownAfrica and #AfricanQueen. Overnight, Amara's creations became a symbol of elegance, creativity, and authenticity. 2 years later, she decided it was time to expand. She moved to Cape Coast, Ghana, where the coastal energy inspired her even more. There, she opened her first official studio, a bright, airy space with large windows overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. The studio was both a workspace and a gallery. Clients could watch the artisans at work, feel the fabrics, and experience the care behind every stitch. Amara's reputation grew quickly. Fashion magazines wrote about her rise from the poor artist no one believed in to the visionary behind one of Africa's most celebrated brands. Designers sought mentorship from her. Young women from local communities came to learn from her, inspired by her story of resilience and courage. For the first time, Amara walked through her studio with no fear, no shame, and no judgment. She was respected, admired, and independent. The girl who had once been laughed at for giving a simple handmade gift had become a queen in her own right, building an empire from her talent, patience, and unwavering self-belief. And every time she looked at the bright, patterned fabrics, the sparkling beads, and the bustling energy of her studio, she remembered one truth. Those who mocked her had only fueled the fire that made her unstoppable. The grand opening of Coastal Crown Africa's first flagship store in Cape Coast was everything Amara had dreamed of. A soft breeze from the ocean filled the air, mixing with the scent of fresh flowers and polished wood. The studio gleamed under warm lights, colorful fabrics draped elegantly from racks, and mannequins wore her most striking design. Guests, celebrities, and fashion enthusiasts moved slowly through the space, admiring every detail. At the very center of the store, Amara placed a glass case. Inside, carefully lit, was the small handmade jewelry box she had once given to her sister years ago. The same box her family had mocked, laughed at, and dismissed as cheap and embarrassing. Now it was displayed like a treasure, polished and preserved, a symbol of her journey. People paused to stare. Some whispered, "This was the work of the woman behind Coastal Crown Africa?" Others smiled, realizing the story behind it, the struggles, the sacrifices, and the quiet strength it represented. Amara walked slowly around the store, watching the visitors. She felt a calm pride settle in her chest. She remembered every sleepless night, every skipped meal, every moment of doubt, and how all of it had led her here. As she stood before the glass case, her voiceover began softly, almost like a whisper to herself, but powerful enough for the world. "They laughed at my gift. They never knew it came from a woman who owned their dreams." She smiled, knowing the truth. The girl who had been belittled, underestimated, and ignored was no longer invisible. She had transformed her pain into power, her talent into an empire. And in the center of it all, the small wooden box, a simple, handmade gift, stood as a quiet, shining reminder that even the humblest beginnings could hold the greatest victory. Amara stepped back, watching people marvel at her design. For the first time, she realized she had not just created a store or a brand or a life. She had created her legacy,